What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV, aka Darth Apocalypse. So before I go forward this video, shout out to the brother Trenard Washington for the donation to the channel via the Cash App. He says, Latrell Sprewell, how would he do in this era? I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I've always had mixed feelings about Latrell Sprewell. At times he could be very exciting to watch. Matter of fact, what game was that? Was that NBA Live? Oh God, what game was that, man? It was one of those NBA Lives where he was like the last dude to dunk in the start of the game. Remember y'all talking about? Remember, like it was like a little, like when you first started the game, it was like a little bit of a intro video or show highlights of the different players. And I think he was the last one to dunk. Was that NBA Live 2000 or 2001? But anyway, I like Latrell Sprewell, but I've always thought that Latrell should not be. I always thought that he should never been like your first option. You know what I'm saying? Like I always thought like on a championship team, Latrell Sprewell is like your third option. On a good team, he's your second option. Now, I do think that he got the most out of his career for the most part. And he could be a very exciting dunker. He was athletic. I liked the way that he aesthetically looked on the court. He was very fast, in his youth especially. He jumped off 2 feet like Dominique Wilkins. His footwork was interesting. If I recall correctly, though, he didn't have the greatest handles. Even in that era, like he didn't have the greatest ball handling ability. And I think the biggest problem I had with Latrell Sprewell was that he was a little bit turnover prone, especially considering, how many shot attempts he took. And he was somewhat inefficient, especially as his career progressed and his shot attempts went up. And you started seeing the poor shot selection that he would sometimes have. Now, granted, he did play in the dead ball era. So I would assume his field goal percentage would be a little bit higher today. He was also a hell of a workhorse. He played heavy minutes, especially earlier in his career. Well, actually, no. I take that back. Let me see his stats. Let me look at something real quick. Yeah, I take that back. He was a workhorse his entire career. He led the NBA in minutes in 93-94, 43.1 minutes a game. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, including his latest 2002, averaging over 40 minutes a game. He averaged 41.1 minutes per game that year in 81 games. Um, Now, of course, he had the choking incident. He could be a little bit volatile, obviously. Um, as far as in today's NBA game, jeez, man, who would I? Well, I think if you, I see some of Latrell Sprewell and Lamelo Ball, not Lamelo. Yeah, Lamelo. Excuse me. I see a little bit of him in Lamelo Ball, although Lamelo's a better passer, obviously, and ball handler. But I see a little bit of that in him. I think another guy that you kind of make some comparisons to would be Michael Beasley. Although Latrell Sprewell was a better defender than both those guys, especially his Golden State days and in his Knicks days, obviously too. He used to get to the line a lot when he was with the Warriors. He had 1 year, I think it was 96, 97, which might have been right before he became cornrows the trail. Because remember, he was when he came out of Alabama in '92, he was bald, scoop, bald head Latrell. Let me see, was that '97? Yeah, '97. That was 24.2, but let's see, 24.2 points per game. But at one point in that season, I remember following the NBA vividly that year. At one point in that season, he was averaging like 26, 27 points per game. And then it tailed off a little bit. As you can see, I'm talking like you just look at the screen with me. He shot 42.5% from the field. And let's see, from 93 to 2003, which I guess is his prime years, he averaged 19.5 points, 4.3 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 1.5 steals, 42.4% from the field, 33.7% from downtown, 80.7% from the line. So, I mean, if you were to push those numbers up a little bit from the dead ball era to the art era, what would that be like? Maybe 20. Let's go with what, 23 points a game, maybe. Let's go with 23 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. Let's go with 45% from the field, 35% from downtown, 81, 82% from the line. So who does that sound like? That sounds to me like LaMelo Ball. Because Spree did, as his career progressed, for that era especially, he did take a lot of threes for that era. Like, I mean, 93, 2.6 3-point attempts. 94, 4.8 3-point attempts. Now, that's not a lot today, but for the 90s, it's a little bit high, especially for a small forward. Then, 95, 4.7, 96, 3.6. Excuse me, 95, 4.7, 96, 3.6. 97, 5.2 3-point attempts. So it went down a bit for a couple of years when he was the Knicks. But then starting in 2001, 2002, he started shooting 5 3-pointers a game. And shot him at a pretty good clip those 2 years, 36%, 37%. He was very streaky from outside. For instance, in 97, 98, Well, that's not a good example. He only played 14 games. That was the year. I think he came back late because of the choking incident. But in 98, 99, he shot 27% from downtown, which isn't great, obviously. But then in 2002, 2003, he shot 37%. He was very streaky. One game, he'll go 0 for 8 from downtown. Then there was one game where he hit 9 consecutive threes in a row. That was Latrell Sprewell. Extremely streaky. Um, he did have that run with the New York Knicks in 1999 with Patrick Ewing largely absent. And they made it to the NBA Finals. They lost to Spurs. I still think if the Knicks had a competent third scoring option, that they could have beaten the Spurs team. I know Jesse Glass second be like, "Oh, you're tripping," but I think the Knicks had a competent third scorer for their team outside of Allen Houston, who did nothing, if I remember correctly, in that series. And Sprewell tried, but for the most part, I think outside of one game, Sprewell was he was shooting bricks, as is to be expected in that era. And you got a really good defensive Knicks team and an even better defensive Spurs team. But yeah, I think Sprewell will be good in this era, and I think his defense will stand out even even better in today's game, considering that this is not a defensive league and it's not prioritized anymore. I think you can even make an argument that Sprewell would be like a poor man's Anthony Edwards in today's game. Anthony Edwards is lot more dynamic, obviously, and better than Sprewell, but I even see a little similarities there, but his shot selection is a lot better. And he's a much better outside shooter. And just a better, higher IQ player. But yeah, I would say LaMelo Ball might be the closest thing I can think of to the Trail Sprewell. Off top, as far as my thinking, I'm probably forgetting somebody else. But yeah, I think Latrell Sprewell today's game will give you 25 points a game. I think he'll give you 25 points a game. Highlight dunks, exciting. I think he would be especially exciting in a free flowing, like no defense type game. You know what I'm saying? Like those types of games, he'll drop 30, 35 easy. When it's the playoffs, though, he can be exposed a little bit more. And a lot of times, Latrell Sprewell did get exposed in the playoffs. So that's just my take on it, man. Tell me what you guys think.